Hey folks, so here today we're with Sean from Zerofidelity, and we're gonna go over our favorite recommendations for under $1,000 for digital speaker and amplification components.
Digital
Sean,
speaker. What's a
oh,
digital speaker?
not digital, digital slash speaker.
English.
English is not my strongest point, keeper. Okay, yeah. So Sean, what's your favorite digital components?
Okay, so I've said in public before many times, I'm a digital snob, man. So we're starting off on like the weak link for me. For digital under $1,000, my favorite is a product from iFi Audio called the iDAC 2. Now, this product was in production for like 5 years. Really simple piece. I mean, it's just a DAC. That's all it really does. I think it might have a headphone section built in for convenience, but it's a simple Burr Brown DAC. You don't even need a power supply. It runs off the 5 volts from your USB from your computer. A really good sound. It's not amazingly hi-fi, but it's good enough to where you can put it in a very expensive system. And honestly, it still sounds fine. So I really like that piece. Easy to transport, easy to work with.
Yeah,
Just good
yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
What about you, little guy?
Do you like my cup? My mom bought it
Is
for
that
me.
jellyfish?
It's just a
Oh,
bunch
is
of
that unicorn?
yeah, it's a bunch of animals.
Yo, that's pretty nice.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, my favorite first component is something pretty obvious. I gave a award on my channel for the first time. The Ares 2 from Denafrips. So
Uh-huh. Is it
680.
Denafrips or Denafrips?
You know what? I never got an answer from them. I think it's more on the lines of like Denafrips or something like that. Uh,
Why did you give it almost a
I don't know.
Latino tongue roll at the
I have
end?
no clue. But this thing retails for 680. It's a DAC. It's just a DAC, and it's an R2R DAC, meaning it's resistor to resistor. I think it's a really good value for the money.
Sure.
Considering that, I had the biggest problem with DACs under $1,000 for the longest time because I went through so many of them because I couldn't justify spending a lot of money on DACs. And at the store I work at, I hear all these incredibly expensive and high-end DACs, and yeah, they made a difference, but I just couldn't justify myself using my own hard-earned money to buy something like that. Well, the Denafrips is really best bang for the buck, and Ares 2 really did it for me. It really gave me a lot of wow, and at the same time long-term enjoyment because I had that thing for what, like 2 months before the review came out.
Mm.
My voice is cracking because I'm not a morning person.
And puberty is still.
And puberty.
Yeah.
What? My goodness. But yeah, I just thought that to be a really good value, especially at 680 USD. That is just fabulous deal. It's something I would buy personally. In fact, all of these recommendations is something I would personally buy. Yeah. And I guess we're doing 2 per each section, right?
Sure. Let's go with sure.
Okay.
I'll defer to you. I only have one.
Okay.
I
Oh, you only have one
only
for
have
this
one. I told you I'm
for
a
this
digital
section?
snob, man. It's really
Okay.
hard for me to pick digital under 1,000 or even 3,000.
I'm the total opposite. I was like trying to
Yeah.
choose 2 out of like 10 in my mind.
Oh,
And
okay.
these are the top 2 that I scratched and scratched. I played the ladder game, eh? I was like,
Okay.
scratch this,
Get
one
it
piece
ladder
out.
game because
Yeah.
R2R.
Yeah.
Uh,
My God, these dry sense of humor.
yes.
So the next one is something that I actually got in about a week and a half ago.
Mhm.
It's called Toppings D90. It retails for $700, and this is a DAC. It's not the R2R DAC like the Ares 2. It's more of
Yeah.
a chip. It's the latest AKM DAC chip called the AK4499. That's inside this thing. It's pretty hefty. The power supply on this thing, I checked it out, was pretty decent. Um, it does Bluetooth, so meaning like it does lossless Bluetooth, whatever that means to you. But I always say go wireless or wired. If that's, I think that sounds better than Bluetooth. So there's wireless and Bluetooth for those of you that don't know. So wireless is lossless and Bluetooth is lossy. Some people just get confused by that. What do I mean by wireless? Meaning Wi-Fi is like the network, like your router, your internet, and stuff like that. Um, but it has Bluetooth just for the sake of convenience. It's like $6.99 USD, and you can connect it through your cell phone, your iPad if you ever wish to. It has optical, it has many different inputs, and it has a small remote, which is neat. You can switch between inputs without getting off from your seat. And overall sound quality wise, I think it's pretty precise. So if someone's like, oh, I don't like R2R DACs, I don't like, how it measures, I don't like how, the idea of, subjectively accepting the fact that this sounds better. Get that? Subjectively accepting the fact.
Yes.
Then if you want something precise, something that measures really well, then the Toppings D90 is the next latest thing that sounds really good at the same time. Something I can definitely recommend. Sounds precise, sounds clean, very low noise floor, and yeah, good connectivity, convenient. Yeah. Okay, so
there we go. That is the dissertation.
Next section is speakers, and so I hand over to you.
Oh man, so this one's really tough because the market is so full of exceptional products under $1,000. I feel like I'm going to cheat here during this section and actually mention more than just two as honorable mentions. Yeah, but I'm going to stick with two for the main mentions, and this is going to surprise no one, or at least one of my selections, which is going to likely be the Triangle Berea Bro 3s, as I like to call them, just because I feel like they're easy to work with. You don't need a huge room or small room or medium-sized room. You don't need to have all the space in the world to get them to sound good. Yes, like any other speaker, they sound best when you can give them room to breathe. And they have a sound that I think a lot of people would enjoy. Easy to listen to on the top end. Most of us listen to horrible recordings. Let's call it what it is. Most of us are in reflective environments. So, that kind of a voicing on top is very nice, but it still has that airiness, that spaciousness that people like. The imaging is fantastic. You have a forward sounding mid-range, which is really exciting. It's big in scale, big, strong bass, arguably a little too thick, maybe not quick enough for some people's taste. But I think when we listen to music for entertainment, when you factor in how difficult it can be to put together a system in a real world environment on the music that we listen to and to get good sound, I think the Bro 3 checks off the most boxes of anything that I've come across so far. Again, there's other products that people are going to prefer over it, but it's just the easiest recommendation for me right now. And the other one, this is actually going to be a curveball, the Rel T5i.
Oh. Okay.
Subwoofer. So why a Rel then? Why a subwoofer out of all these speakers? It's because a really good subwoofer can complement and really add to the listening experience in a way that is difficult to replicate with any other component type when you do an upgrade. So when you add a subwoofer like that, say to Magnapan LRS or to Triangles or any other option that you can really think of that's not truly full range, it just takes the system to the next level.
You're getting me excited. I'm getting that for review. I just got contact from Rel telling me that they're gonna send one or perhaps two over my way.
Two, yeah, I got on their butts about that. Yeah. So those are gonna be my two choices. I'll do honorable mentions after your turn.
Okay. Well, notice how he has the Triangle Bro 3 set up right now behind the background.
It's true. I actually do. I did some listening.
He has this set up. Yeah. No. Yeah. I knew he was gonna pick the Bro 3s. Oh, that's the only reason I didn't pick it. Because I want it to be different.
Okay. Fine.
No, but seriously, it's a very good speaker. Yeah, I would have picked it if Sean didn't pick it. And my choice is, Sean's probably no, but many of my viewers, it will be a surprise, is the Sound Artist SB. I still don't know how to say this thing. SC8B. So it's Sound Artist SC8B. I'll link it in the description below. This is something that is pretty much new to North America and pretty much new to everyone that is in this hi-fi channel. This is from China. It's from Sound Artist, and it retails for $550 USD. And this thing is big. Like, it's bigger than the Bro 3s. It's bigger than like pretty much any bookshelf speaker in here right now. It's smaller than the Kefar 3, but it's a little bit wider. And this thing is a coaxial design. It has like a horn-loaded tweeter, and it uses paper woofers. This thing was rated for 30 hertz, down to 30 hertz. So I looked at it. I looked at the specs and I was like, okay, this thing can't go down to 30 hertz. That's bogus. It claims so, but it probably can't. But I set them up, and to my surprise, the bass is like strong, but without that mid bass bloat. It's clean, and you have to hear drums on this thing. The drums are incredible, incredibly impactful, incredibly realistic. Um, and that's really hard to do with speakers. I've rarely heard speakers get drums right. Like I play drums and it has this impact and decay and attack factor that most speakers can't reproduce to my liking. The sound artist does that perfectly. So when I first played drum tracks on this thing, I played for hours just drum tracks. And then I moved on to vocals. I moved on to other tracks, a little bit more demanding tracks, more busy tracks. And surely enough, because it's a horn-loaded design, it does not image as well, but it projects in a way where it's more holographic than any other speakers in here. It stretches out of the room, unlike other bookshelf speakers that are kind of restricted within their axis. So yeah, that really blew my mind, and I really like the fact that I got to hear these speakers, because these speakers are something that is totally different from other speakers in this realm. Bookshelf speaker, $550, very sensitive, and enough to run it with tubes or any other components. In fact, when you run it with tube amplifiers, it's much more smooth. But when you play with solid state, you get the sense that these are very, very detailed and very, very detailed, but like they're not bright. They're not like vocals where it's like fatiguing after hours. It's more like it's not as forward. It's like it's detailed, but it's more almost what people call it like sparkly. It's
I love how you're doing the review.
Oh my God, I should stop. Oh no, I should stop. Oh my God. Okay.
I love that.
I'll stop it there.
I'll interject for a second just to say his enthusiasm is genuine. When he got these in and he unboxed them, he messaged me and he was like, "Oh my God, you're so great. I'm so happy. I can stop right now." Blah, blah, blah. So it is genuine in that sense.
And, I was telling my Patreons and my MBT Studio group, I'm like, man, this really blew my mind in a whole different way, because I'm supposed to, understand that, low, money spent means you get less. This thing is like, well, I spent $550 for it, and what the hell is this, right? Kind of thing. So like, I was really excited. But I should stop. You're right. I should stop before my review. My goodness, what am I saying? Okay. Anyways, the next one is going to be the Tecton lowers, $750.
Okay.
Not Tecton lower, the lower reference, so the smaller ones. I got it in. I didn't review it yet, so I wouldn't go into too much detail. But my point of view was, if this can do small room situation with less powerful components, if this can do 80 or 90% of what the bigger brother double impacts can do, then that's what I'm looking for. And surely enough, if it's around there. Now, I didn't do a full review on it, but just off few hours of listening, I can definitely tell that this is my high recommendation. And in fact, I have a lot of people that walk into the store saying that they have a Tecton lower reference or the lower, and they always mention about how. See, I didn't understand this until I heard them. They always mention about how they, have like imaging, like on the side, which I was like, what the hell do you mean, like imaging on the side? Like, but I get why. It's a surrounding, it's atmospheric, it's a full body sound, so that's what they're implying. I think, because it's so full body that it's like surrounding you, the music. And so it is an involving experience. And so if that's something you want, if you want a full body sound, if you like to rock and roll and play music loud, these speakers are sensitive. Again, it's under $1,000. So with components, it's not that finicky. I played it with like Marantz receivers and Denon receivers that Tujen had, and other components here that are relatively cheap. And they surely enough sound pretty darn good. So that's my recommendation for under $1,000 speakers.
There you go, man. There you go. I'm going to add in just two speakers that I feel deserve recognition, but just didn't make the cut for me for, personal reasons, really. One would be the Magnepan LRS. I think when you set up that speaker right, it's actually really good. But the reason why I can't make the list for me is because how many people can pull that speaker out as far as it needs to go in order to really sound its best, to
Yeah.
understand what it can truly do. Not that many people. Then
Mhm.
there's the power situation. That
Mhm.
speaker requires
I,
gobs
I,
of power.
because I have firsthand experience with the LRS, and I think I
Yeah.
single-handedly sold more
Yeah.
in Canada, which is kind of ironic.
Look at you.
That was definitely not
Stop.
my intention.
You know,
That was
best salesman in Canada for
no,
magnifying
no, no.
LRS. Just saying.
That was definitely not my intention. And just to you know, plainly put it, I make almost jack from it.
Yeah.
Um, and the reason I recommend it so much was because I was so enthusiastic about it. I really
Mhm.
liked that speaker, and quite frankly enough, I mean, we sold like 40 something pairs
Yeah.
in the last few months, and um,
Cool.
but
Audio Excellence can buy themselves a couple coffees now.
yeah, pretty much. Bought me a few lunches, so thank you. But
Yeah.
no. But in all seriousness, the problem with LRS and why it didn't cut my under $1,000 recommendation is because I was thinking, well, this if this is for beginners and if people that are starting out is watching this, right? The people that bought LRS, you have to understand, is people that actually understand, the amplification and the placement side, like Sean said. Now, placement is one thing. Placement, I thought, okay, you can. I've seen some people get away with it with room treatment and room correction, and setup tweaks. I've
Yeah.
seen people get away with it, and I've gotten away with it a few times, and you can live with it sometimes. It's not a big deal entirely. But amplification side, I got a call actually yesterday. Someone called about the LRS, and he was like, "I want to buy one." And I was like, "What amp do you have?" That's the first question I asked. Not your room,
Sure.
what amp do you have? Because and he was telling me that he had the what is the one from PS Audio, the Sprout
Yeah.
100, and he was saying it's 100 watts, it should be able to do it. And I was like, you can go ahead. I mean, I'm selling you the speakers, so if you want, you can. But because he was kind of on the defense about it, because he was, he'd done this for 60 years, and
Oh
so
God.
I said, you can do it if you want, but from my experience, from my first-hand experience of having the Sprout connected to the Magnepan LRS, it just won't make you happy. It just won't perform. In fact, I'll be very surprised, if you're not in a very, very small room, it's just not gonna work. And if you're in a very, very small room, it's not gonna work at all. But anyways, um, the point being is, it didn't make my cut because, for people starting out, how much are you spending on the amplifier to make this thing work, right?
Yeah.
So if you want something that it sounds very, very good under a $5,000 system, then I think it makes sense. But it won't work with a Sprout or something of lower tier in value. Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
yeah.
Definitely agree. And
Mine
I
keeps
think
going.
next one for me to quickly go over is a speaker that's impressive, and because it's so well rounded and impressive, it can come across as kind of boring. And that's the Elac debut reference, the DBR 62s or whatever.
Yeah.
Really and truly, when you put it on high end gear and you listen to decent recordings, it's an incredibly impressive speaker. I mean, it's objectively, like, hands down better than a Bro 3. Like,
Hmm.
objectively, it just, I can get almost guarantee you it measures better, the coherency, the well-roundedness, but it's almost boring in that sense. It's almost like there's no real pizzazz to the sound. But I think there's still plenty of people out there who would really, really enjoy that because it's just so unoffensive. There's nothing about it. It's not bright, it's not overly warm, it just is what it is. So if you want to just listen to music for hours on end, and it's kind of more of a, I wouldn't say a background task for you, but if you just want that more balanced listening experience, it's probably the most balanced I know of, objectively speaking, under about $1,000. Maybe Revel. I think that, don't they have a speaker under a grand, or is it just like at a grand? Forgot what it
What,
was called.
Elac? I
No,
don't know.
Revel. I think they have one.
Rival? Oh no, I don't know.
God, I forget what
Um,
the model number is. I'm horrible with model numbers. But yeah, I think that one's worth a mention. But that's it for me as far as honorable mentions.
yeah, I think the debut is nice. But it's okay. Moving
There
on.
we go. Look at you. Look at
No,
you. Trying to
it's just
people
that
to be
my girlfriend just came down, and she
really.
looked at me. She looked at me, and with all this setup going on, and she just went upstairs.
I was about to say, tell her I said hi.
I'll do that later.
Okay.
So amplification and components. I
Okay.
think, yeah,
Amplification and component. Oh, that's right. It's my turn
yeah,
again.
yeah, it's your turn. Yeah,
You already know what I'm going to say. Why don't you say it for me?
IO VX, IOTA VX.
Good boy.
All
Good
right.
boy.
Okay.
So IOTA VX SA3, simple reason. It's a very balanced sounding unit, and it just seems to pair up well with everything.
Oh wait, sorry, Sean. Before people get the misunderstand in this entire thing,
Okay.
he didn't tell me his list. I didn't tell him his list. We just decided to just do
Oh,
this. Like people are gonna be like, how does he know? Like it's because we watch, we talk before and a lot on Facebook, and I can read his mind. He can read my mind. That sounds extremely homosexual, but it's not.
God.
Okay, anyways,
Anyways.
move on.
Yeah, no, I had a VXSA3. Like I said, it has enough power to drive most speakers fairly well in a modest sized room. You want more power, you add the amplifier. It doesn't cost a heck of a lot more money. The features on it are kind of weak, right? I mean, the DAC is a Wolfson DAC, if I remember correctly. It's not really that good. It's just there for convenience. The little Bluetooth adapter that comes with it is loose and barely ever actually affixates to the unit.
Are you sure you're recommending this?
So it has it's with everything, right?
Yeah,
There's problems, but when it comes to actual performance, it's really good. You have your tone controls if you want to manipulate this or that, and again, it just makes it easy for me because everything else I've experienced in this price point under $1,000 has such a distinct coloration to it that it really becomes difficult for me to recommend things in a general sense. Do you want that V curve sound? Yes or no? Okay, well, now let's go into opposite direction. Do you want that muscular warm sound? Yes or no? With IOTA VX, I'm like, just screw it. Get it. It's fairly balanced, a little bit of a warm sound, and then pick the speakers that you want the most.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
So that's my, I think that's the only component I can actually really and truly come up with for that price. I do like the Vista Audio Spark for like 300 and something dollars because the tone of it, oh my God, I love the tone of that little integrated amp, but it's like a 20-watt little amplifier that can't drive much of anything. So it's really limited to like desktop applications or very efficient speakers. So I can rarely recommend that piece, even though I really love it. Anyways, your turn.
Well, you already know what I'm gonna choose, right?
What are you gonna choose?
Say it for
It's
me.
not this price point doesn't have Hegel in it.
No, it doesn't.
So. I already know that would be your choice if it was no budget, or close to no budget. I don't know, actually. Why don't you tell me?
It's going to be the Wilsonton tube amplifier, the R8.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll link it in the description below because my pronunciation is terrible with these things. But it's called Wilsonton R8. It's compatible. It's a tube amplifier. It's an integrated tube amplifier. So it's preamp and amplifier. It uses KT88 as its output tubes, or you can change it to EL34s. I have
reading
both.
off a list.
Huh?
Are you reading?
Because I'm just making
Come on,
sure
boy,
I'm
step up your
pronouncing it
game.
right. I'm making sure I'm pronouncing it right because it's such, I've been pronouncing this Willington. It's not Willington. It's Wilsonton. So help me, my God. But I have the EL34 tubes and the KT88 tubes here, both of them, and I changed them back and forth. It's really easy to bias, and for people that don't know what bias is, you bias adjust the tube voltage, and it's to me it reminds me of the Marantz 8B that I had, right? And that thing was $5,000 used, and I bought it because it had such rave reviews in forums. It's a vintage piece, for those of you that don't know, the Marantz 8B. And it's a very renowned, very good sounding tube amplifier using EL34 tubes. And it has easy adjustable bias if it has the B version. So there's an 8 and then there's an 8B version. This one is much like that. It's very easy to bias. You just use the switches and then a screw to adjust it. It's almost a no-brainer. It comes with a manual that is quite readable, apparently.
Really?
Yeah, I was quite surprised. I was like, this is actually, maybe because I skimmed it and I understood most of it, but it has some broken Englishes here and there. But I mean,
broken Englishes. I think this is why it's so intelligible for you.
If you can watch my reviews and read my reviews, then you should be able to do it, no problem.
This far into video, gotcha.
Exactly. But this thing it really surprised me because this thing is 770 US, and when it first arrived, right? I was at work and I got a notification on FedEx, and my mom was home, so I called my mom like, Mom, there should be a shipment in front of the door. Can you bring it in? And she said, Hell no, boy. I'm like. I'm like thinking, well, it's 770, little tube amplifier. What the hell, is she on about? Heavy and stuff, right? So I come home and then surely enough, there's this gigantic box in front of my house. And I'm just like, what the heck is this? And then so I unboxed it. It was double boxed and I unboxed it and I opened it up and it's a full size tube amplifier. Like legit a full size stereo tube amplifier, like a proper one, not a small like a desktop. Yeah, and it looks sexy, it looks good, and the transformers was heavy, like heavy. It took me and my girlfriend to put it up there, and my God, it was really really good. It's my centerpiece right now, in my system.
Yeah.
And then I hooked it up to like a bunch of speakers, and surely enough, it has that mid-range characteristic of a tube amplifier, and that's what I was looking for, because a lot of the times. Like Yaquin, I think one of it was Yaquin. The Chinese. I tried few and used before, and I wasn't very impressed. It was a little bit too lean sounding, non-tubey, and that's not what I'm looking for in a tube amplifier. For a tube amplifier,
most people when you buy a tube amp, you want the tube sound.
Exactly, but I'm not gonna name the brand, but there's this brand that a lot of people love, and because they're so heavy marketing towards it. And
would it start with a P?
Yeah. Oh, too much clues already. Every time I hear it, maybe because I don't know, maybe because I never heard my system personally, but every time I hear it everywhere else, like in the store, everywhere in my friend's system, I've seen it around so many times that I've heard so many models. Every single damn time, I'm just like, I don't get it. It's not tubey. It's like transparent for one thing, but it's not. But anyways, point being, when I'm buying a tube amplifier, I want it to be tubey, and for $770. It has that tube characteristic and it does it well. And the next thing I was looking for was, okay, the mid and high frequency is excellent. It has that tube characteristic.
You're reviewing this again, by the way.
Yes. But I have to say, because there's a big question, can it do the bottom end? And yeah, bottom end, it's not going to be like a solid state. It's not going to be parasound. It's not going to be like, a solid state with brute force. But it's tight enough. It's tight enough. It's not slow. And to me, I think it's just perfectly right on. I was quite surprised, and that's especially true with the KT88 tubes. EL34s, I found it to be a little bit looser, but it makes the mid-range bloom a little bit more. So I really like that tube amplifier. Now I'm not going to review it any further. So
yeah, the comments about bass is interesting because a lot of it has, of course, to do with the iron. And there's, what was it? The other day, somebody said something about, oh, well, the Musi share that I reviewed, that's totally incapable of delivering deep bass. It's just a limitation of transformers. Like, okay, what kind of speakers and drivers are you using? If you're using like Polk Audio speakers or, most people won't use like Wilson, but yeah, okay, those need some like brutish solid state power, really. Either that or big tube amplifiers that cost more than most people's cars. But it's like for speakers like Tecton or even the Sound Artist that you got, stuff that uses light materials, easy to drive, dude, you're going to get pretty strong bass out of those tube amps.
Yeah, talking about power, like this thing, I don't know if it's just the way the volume, by the way, remote is sexy. Do I have it here somewhere?
Do you?
No, I don't. Okay.
But don't get up, man. We know what that's like. Stuff's going to knock over.
No, it's not here. Yeah, if I get up, stuff is going to knock over. But it's a sexy remote. You'll see in the review. And it's when it turns, I'm thinking to myself, is this just the way the volume is designed? Because I haven't gotten past 50, I'm telling you. Yeah. With any of those speakers, I haven't gone 50. I'm quite surprised.
Just a high gain design.
I think so. I mean, this thing shows it's like name, right? It's like in the beginning it cranks up. It's like, wow, so much power, and then there's nothing after. Okay. Okay. What's your next, Sean?
Wait, what are we talking about? Components?
Yeah, next amplifier.
Okay.
Or components.
I don't. No, I already gave you two. I gave you the Iota VX and the Audio Spark. Okay. Just didn't say much.
My next one is going to be the Blue Sound. My next one is going to be Blue Sound.
Okay, this video should end right here.
It is though. It is.
I think we should just stop right here. Like, this goes Jay's credibility is just gone.
It's
Save
not
it for
the
the
it's
end.
not the it's not the Node 2i. It's not.
Okay.
It's the Blue Sound Power Node 2i for $850.
Okay.
And the reason I picked this, now if you're really on a budget and you need everything in one, including a power amplifier, source streaming, then I guess. But if you are looking for like a bedroom system or something small, which a lot of people do, including myself, this is what I recommend. Not the Node 2i, but the Power Node 2i. To me, it sounds really, really nice. Like for $850, I think it's something that's small enough and it has all the capabilities of streaming, amplification, and if you have relatively sensitive speakers like the Sound Artist or what was it, the Pro 3s, then if you have the speakers that you have are easy to work with, then you can set these up in the bedroom, even in your main system. And I think it sounds quite nice. I was quite surprised. I mean, I had these bias of Blue Sound stuff sounding not that good because of the Node 2i experience I had. And then I got to the Power Node 2i, and my God, the Node 2i is not that bad either, in my opinion, but the Power Node 2i is a step above. So if someone's looking for, not the best, but something decent for their bedroom system, then that's something I would definitely look into.
Okay.
$850. Yeah.
Oh my God, nice and succinct. Well done, boy. Well done. So I think that about covers it, right? Favorite components? Is there anything else that you want to add? Analog components or anything else that you've come across? Dare I say it? Cables, accessories, things that are going to get people fired up in the comment section.
Well, cables, I don't know yet. Far as I know, cables that are cheap, and won't get people raved up. Just quality cables, that reassures you, kind of thing. I'm not gonna
Screw that.
get into
Mention names.
mention name. Okay, fine. Osona cables are something that I've used in the
Okay.
past. Quite impressive. Like in terms of build quality, it's impressive. Screw the sound. Like just the build quality itself is impressive for what the price. The price is like about 100 to 138 depending on their length, US. And they're I believe they're made in the same factory as XLO, and they're quite nice. Now I do have a few sample cables that are coming in. Very affordable. Just want to see the build quality and see something because quite frankly, people hate cables, right? And the number one question I get from people is, ironically, what cable should I get? What is a decent cable under $200 and stuff
Sure.
like this?
Sure.
So I started, diving into that to see and find cables for people that are relatively affordable. Has nothing wrong with it in terms of sound, and build quality wise is robust. And so far it's Asona. Now I'm looking into other alternatives. But yeah, so right now Asona is the one.
Okay.
What else? Turntables.
Yeah, I mean, if you have something to mention it. I really don't have anything that springs to mind. I do know when it comes to phono stages, once again, Vista Audio, I love his stuff.
Yeah.
He has a phono stage that's pretty darn stunning for the money. Turntables, Fluence. Has some really good ones. Really good.
Yeah.
Everyone keeps thinking of the usual Projects, Rega, and all of them make good stuff. I think Pioneer, even though one can argue it's a Chinese handpin, right? I mean, it's still really good. The motor is thick, the tracking's really good. But Fluence, man, like people sleep on. Those are really good. But cables, I used to dabble in cables to include like just building a whole lot of them, like over 10 years ago, experimenting with different connectors, shielding types, shielding methodologies, conductor types. It was a lot of fun. I haven't messed with it in a long time, but right now I did agree to bring in some cables from QED. I actually used their stuff on my computer rig just because somebody gave it to me, quite frankly. But I'm interested in checking it out because it's so affordable. It seems to be well made. And it's like, let's just check it out because you're right. People do constantly ask, well, what cables should I buy? And I think at times it is worth it for people like us to actually try things out in the field and to, see what we run into, whether it's
Hmm.
build quality, performance, whatever. The copper color cables out of China,
That's what I'm
which,
getting in
yeah,
actually.
that's why
Yeah.
I was thinking.
Yeah.
Those look interesting. And what I like so much about that is even when you go to China Hi-Fi's site, like they'll mention where the conductor is pulled. Like this conductor for this cable is pulled in Chile.
Yeah.
This conductor is pulled into US. Here's the DuPont, whatever company responsible for the shielding.
You
And
know why I ran into
interesting.
that? You know why I ran into that company?
Ah,
So the thing is, what was it? My client, 2 years ago, I think, came in, bought the Wilson Audio Sabrinas and a name stack worth about 20, 30 grand.
okay.
And he went home and he was dabbling at the idea of getting the Heimdall from Nordost.
Mm-hmm.
And he was going back and forth with me talking about cables, accessories, tweaks to make his system because that was his end system. Like he got amplifier, everything, right?
Okay.
Now it was up to him to decide if he wants to do little tweaks to make things better. And he's the type of guy who likes to tweak a lot.
Yeah.
And he was looking at the cables, and one day, no contact. And surely enough, days go by, and I hear from my friend that he bought because he's a restaurant owner
Mm-hmm.
down in Waterloo, and so I was gonna visit him because he said he would give me free food, but it's just too far, and my work schedule and doing this, and so after a few weeks, months, I don't know, my friend tells me he got the copper collar. I'm like, what the hell is copper collar? And he got fairly high end, the highest end they can go, he can go from their line because
Yeah.
even the highest end one is like what, like not even close to the Heimdall
Yeah.
in terms of price. And he said he swears by it. He was like swearing about by it, like he was like going crazy nuts, saying that this is the best upgrade I've made in the system. Not the Sabrina, not the name stack. Some people are gonna hate him. Please don't hate him. He has his
Oh, I
own
don't
right.
care, man. Screw those
Yeah.
people that hate on him. You know what,
But
man? Buy it, don't
oh,
buy it. Who
well, I'm
cares?
talking about him, so I don't want people to go say, he's not a fool and stuff. Um,
Yeah.
but I was quite intrigued by it because, he's someone who has the ears that I trust. He actually hears fairly close to what I hear, and when we discuss, we're talking about real things, and he has, in my opinion, pretty good ears. So, he bought the copper color and he was raving about it. So I thought to myself, you know what? I want to see what not the most expensive of their line can do, but what their mid and lower line can do. Like they have a power cable, for example, $100
Mm-hmm.
can't hurt, and I want to see what it can do. So
Yeah.
and the build quality, the picture looks nice, but when I actually get it, how is it? Because sometimes I get like power cables from China, and I've done this before because they look so nice for like
I've
50
done that. Yep.
bucks
Yep.
and they arrive and they're like falling apart. Like the color
Yep.
connector had to like
Yep.
resolder it. Like,
No, you're absolutely
yeah.
right.
It's like
Absolutely.
is this a cable that comes finished or is it a DIY kit? You know?
Yeah, I might try it out. I actually have a friend who
Yeah.
just got some cables. What's interesting about him is he can't hear the, difference between them, and but he still enjoys it just because he likes messing around with the stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for his feedback on the general build quality of it because that's
Yeah.
what he's very good with.
Yeah. Well,
So,
that's
anyways,
well, I'm playing safe, right? I just
yeah,
want to see, what kind of build quality and if it functions okay for $100, right? So that
yeah.
can hurt, and that's something that won't get in, the sleeves of those people that talk about.
Who cares about those people? Look, most of them have no experience to fall back on. They just have
Yeah.
opinions, and they're almost borderline useless opinions anyway. This is the thoughts of me, not Jay. So if you want to bring hate, I don't care about what you think anyway, so bring it.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Anyways,
On that note.
on that note, I think that pretty much wraps it up. We've been filming for 40 minutes, so
Yeah,
if you
man.
stayed until now,
They shouldn't have.
yeah, well, I don't know what you're doing with your life, but
We
great.
appreciate it. Actually, there's a lot of people who are kind of locked in right now
Yeah,
anyways.
I mean, I think
Yeah,
it's a good time to just, sit back and listen to our boring voices and opinions. And
yeah, yeah.
all right, so I think that's pretty much wraps it up. Okay, thanks,
All
Sean.
right, little guy, have fun editing this.
Awesome, thanks.
All right. Peace.